Hello, everyone, and welcome to another collaborative event by Mount Royal University and Educators in VR. Um, what we have today is an event that will be hosted by students from the psychology program at Mount Royal University. These are some students in a senior undergraduate course studying the integration of immersive technologies with psychology. And so they'll be doing a presentation in a few minutes here, which I'm super excited to hear about. Um, just to give you a few moments of background, this collaboration between Educators in VR and myself at Mount Royal University and Laurel through Educators in VR, we've been working together for, I think, about 7 years, something like that, and been doing these collaborations with these courses and integrating this work. So I really want to thank Laurel and Laurel's whole team here, Lance, Stands with Trees, they help put this all on. This doesn't happen without you guys doing this. So I want to thank all of you for that. And of course, thank the platform. I want to thank Engage for supporting this, that we do these presentations in their platform. So we really appreciate that. I mean, you can see what the students have been able to create. It's a really great opportunity. And of course, as always, I want to finally thank the students for buying into my little fun course that's fun for me, and I hope it's fun for all the rest of you. And the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to our group is my little disclaimer that I say at the beginning of all of these, a reminder to the members of this audience that this isn't a academic formal training session. This is an information session. The students that are presenting to you are university undergraduate students. They're not doing a psychology training session, if you know what I mean. They're not training therapy here. This is a discussion about it and an information discussion. So I just have to put that little disclaimer on the beginning of any psychology-like presentation that we do. With that being said, I will turn the floor over to the group who is going to talk to us about VR and phobias.
Thanks so much, Tony. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live event, The Mind, Confronting Phobias in Virtual Reality. My name's Danielle, and I'm here to kick things off, starting with a question. As you stand there and take in the storm that's in the background, what's happening in your body at this given moment? You don't need to share your answer with us, just pause and observe these sensations. Now, show some stuff pressing the number 7 on your keyboard if you yourself have ever experienced fear or anxiety during a storm. And if you have given us some stars, don't worry, you're not alone, because roughly 85% of people experience some fear or anxiety when weather is more intense, and about 10% of the global population have a phobia to it. So our group was curious about what would it be like to explore such fears in a VR environment while utilizing therapeutic coping strategies to navigate one's experience. Today, we're going to go over what fears and phobias are, what exposure therapy is, and how we can use exposure therapy in a VR environment to help individuals navigate their inner fear of storms. From there, I'll guide you through some techniques to help you manage fear in the moment, and then we'll proceed with an integrative storm experience that we created, where you can apply these techniques in different weather situations. After that, we'll come back to this meeting area where Ashley will lead a debrief, and we'll go over any questions anyone may have.
So let's say, for example, I find myself caught outside in a thunderstorm. Cognitively, I might start having thoughts of I need to get out of the storm due to the increased winds and potential for branches to break or lightning to strike. This is a reasonable response to such a situation, and cognitively, I believe that I'm capable of finding shelter, and I know that a storm is temporary. Behaviorally, I would start taking actions to avoid the danger, such as covering myself or going into buildings. Physically, my heart might start beating faster and my muscles may tense to help me act. The most important thing to know about fear is that fear is reasonable and rational. All these factors I've mentioned, such as thinking, I need to find shelter, and doing so, are reasonable and rational responses to this situation. Many people in the same situation would act similarly to me. In this case, fear is protecting me from potential threats, like branches breaking, falling on me. And so my actions are to propel me away from the danger, and knowing that it rationally will pass. Assuming that nothing traumatic happens, one storm will most likely not alter my perception of storms, and I wouldn't try to go out of my way to avoid storms in the future. But phobias are different. When we talk about phobias, we're referring to more than just fear. Phobias are intense, persistent, and often irrational fears that lead to avoidance behaviors and can significantly interfere with daily life. Research shows that most specific phobias begin in childhood and follow a predictable pattern. An initial fear response becomes reinforced over time through avoidance. While avoidance reduces anxiety in the short term, it actually strengthens the phobia long term, making the fear more resistant to change. In terms of how phobias develop, there isn't a single cause. Instead, they emerge from a combination of factors. One key pathway is direct experiences such as traumatic or highly distressing events. However, phobias can also be learned indirectly, including through observation or exposure to threatening information. Additionally, genetic and temperamental factors such as heightened sensitivity to threat help explain why some individuals are more likely to develop phobias than others. Phobias present across three main domains: cognitively, physically, and behaviorally. Cognitively, individuals often overestimate danger and underestimate their ability to cope. Physically, the body responds with symptoms such as increased heart rate, as mentioned before, sweating, or panic responses. Behaviorally, avoidance becomes the key maintaining factor. People go to great lengths to avoid the feared object or situation. Focusing more specifically on storm phobias or astraphobia, these follow similar mechanisms but are categorized under natural environment subtype of specific phobias. What makes these phobias particularly impactful is their unpredictability, which can heighten anxiety and reinforce a sense or a lack of control. Individuals with storm phobias may engage in behaviors such as constantly checking weather updates, seeking shelter prematurely, or experiencing distress even at the anticipation of a storm. These reactions are often driven by heightened threat perception and intolerance of uncertainty. Overall, whether general or storm specific, phobias are best understood as learned fear responses that are maintained over time. This understanding is important because it directly informs treatment approaches, particularly exposure-based therapies, which aim to gradually reduce fear by breaking the cycle of avoidance. To go a little bit more into exposure therapy, I'm going to pass this off now to Liam.
Hey everyone, nice to meet you all. I guess we've already kind of met, but next to me here is Serena, and we're going to, as Ashley had said, we're going to talk about exposure therapy and how virtual reality or VR can be used to help people manage fears, like, for example, fear of storms. A lot of the time, when something scares us, our first instinct is to avoid it. That makes sense in the short term, because avoidance gives immediate relief, but in the long term, it can actually make the fear stronger. So let's say someone is afraid of storms. If they hear thunder, they might immediately leave the room, put on headphones, hide under a blanket, or try to distract themselves as fast as possible. That helps them feel better in the moment, but their brain never gets the chance to learn that the storm itself is not actually harming them, so the fear stays strong, because avoidance kind of teaches the brain, yes, this really was dangerous. Good thing we escaped. That's one of the biggest ideas behind exposure therapy. If we always avoid something, the fear doesn't really get a chance to shrink. Do you think it feels easier to avoid fear or face it, at least in the short term? And what about it in the long term? Do you think avoidance actually helps people get over a fear? If you guys want to answer, feel free to turn off your mics and answer those questions.
I think fear, I think like the more you avoid fear, it just gets stronger, at least from experience. I always think of public speaking. Before I took classes at MRU, like public speaking ones, I was so afraid of it. And then the more I did it, I just got like less anxious each time. And now I'm like basically have no anxiety response to it at all.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm terrified of public speaking. I know exactly what you mean. And by the way, you're also a fantastic public speaker. I've heard you a couple different times and you're really good at it.
Oh, thank you.
It definitely can help too, because I'm very unsociable at times, and I myself do panic talking in front of people. But I have been practicing more doing it, like when I have to host specific types of events. So that has helped, though I still do have difficulty doing it in the real world rather than VR. I'm just hoping that eventually it will push its way to the real world.
Oh, absolutely. I'm with you on that. It's definitely helping being in the VR space to be able to kind of almost hide behind a screen in a sense, and it makes public speaking so much easier. And I'm waiting to see how that translates into the real world. But it seems to help a little bit.
But it does make it so now I can partially like say hi to someone I don't know rather than panic and run away.
Absolutely.
I feel that.
Sweet. So I'll go kind of a little bit more into exposure therapy. So exposure therapy is a treatment where a person is gradually and safely exposed to the thing they're afraid of. So such as public speaking, or in our environment here, storms. It's a way in which they can gradually expose themselves to something that they're maybe averse to, and explore that in a safe environment. The important part is that when it happens step by step, it's not about throwing someone straight into their worst fear. It's about starting small and building up slowly. For someone afraid of storms, that might start with just thinking about a storm, then maybe looking at storm images, then listening to quiet thunder sounds, then watching storm visuals, and eventually being more able to tolerate the real storm. The goal is for the body and the brain to learn over time. I can handle this. I feel anxious, but I am still safe. Now I'm going to pass it off to Serena.
Thanks, Liam. When people stay in a feud situation long enough without anything bad happening, their anxiety usually starts to come down on its own. This teaches the brain a new association. So instead of storm equals danger, the brain can slowly start learning something more like storm equals uncomfortable but manageable. That change doesn't usually happen all at once. It happens through repetition. And that's why gradual exposure is important. The brain needs repeated experiences of safety. This is where VR becomes really useful. Virtual reality allows people to experience something that feels realistic, but in a controlled environment. So instead of waiting for a real storm, a therapist can use VR to recreate storm sounds, lightning, dark skies, or other elements of the experience in a way that is gradual and adjustable. That means the person can start with a very low level of intensity and only increase it when they are ready. It also makes the experience repeatable. A real storm is unpredictable, but VR can be controlled and used again and again. So VR can act like a bridge between imagination and real life. It can feel more real than just talking about a storm, but still safer and more manageable than facing one in the outside world. Even in this room right now, there's a subtle storm happening in the background. You might have noticed that when you first walked in, you were more aware of the environment and all the lightning. But after being in here for a while, you may already be getting a little more used to it. That's a small example of the general idea behind exposure therapy. With repeated, safe contact, the reaction can begin to change. And on that note, I'm going to pass our interactive part of our presentation back to Danielle.
Thanks, Serena. All right, so now I'm going to guide you all through some easy coping strategies that you can apply not only in our immersive experience that we're going to go through today, but also whenever you feel anxious or afraid. So the first one is called box breathing, which essentially helps you regulate your autonomic system by bringing you down from fight or flight to a more restful state. It involves 4 key steps, which is breathing in, holding your breath, breathing out, and then holding your breath again. And for each step, what you want to do is you want to do it for 4 seconds, and then you can repeat all of this as many times as you need to. So I just want us to do a quick practice together. So I'll guide you through it. I want you to start breathing in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath for 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. Hold your breath. 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So next, what we'll cover is some reassuring phrases. This provides an opportunity for self-compassion at a time when you really need it in these kinds of situations. Reassuring phrases are most effective, though, when you repeat it regularly because it rewires neural pathways and changes the way you think about your fears and anxieties. So when we do this, I just ask that you keep your mic off, but I want you to say the phrases out loud to yourself where you're at. So just repeat after me. I am safe and in control. I trust myself to navigate through this. I acknowledge the fear, but I choose to focus on the strength within me. Awesome. So now that we've covered these techniques, we're going to begin our 5-tent integrative experience. So I'll just give you a quick rundown here first. So each tent's going to provide a different weather pattern with the purpose of simulating exposure therapy with certain triggers and variations of intensity. So as you encounter these different experiences, I want you to be mindful of what's going on in your body as you try out each station. Ask yourself, how's my body responding to this right now? Is it calm, uncomfortable? And as you immerse yourself, try and apply these coping strategies that we just went over. Okay, so you all are now able to follow me to the first tent. That would be great. So we'll just stop right outside this path here. Okay, so this path is going to take us to our first tent, and that's our rain tent. So this is going to provide a baseline exposure for experiencing a VR weather simulation. And then once we go through this tent, each tent's going to gradually increase with intensity. If at any point any of these tents get to be too overwhelming for you though, we do have a regulation tent that you can visit to decompress, which is just to the left-hand side of you. If you look over, it's the one that's got the butterflies fluttering right above it.
Serena's right on top of it right now.
What's that?
If you guys look over, it's where Serena's standing.
Perfect, yes. Thank you, Serena. So yeah, so we're just gonna give you a couple of minutes to explore the tent here behind me. Just follow the path to the end, and after a few minutes, just come back to the center space, and then we'll move on to the next one. All right, so let's mosey on over to our next path, which is going to take us to tent number 2. I just ask again that everyone stays in this paved circle. That would be great. All right, so I don't know, some of you might be able to hear it already a little bit, but this tent is our wind tent, which is going to provide a demonstration of the unpredictability that comes with weather. So just take a few minutes to explore this space as well, and then once you're done, just meet back on the paved circle again, and just remember to try and use those coping strategies while you're in that space.
And if anyone needs to debrief after, feel free to go over to the kind of tranquil tent.
Excellent. All right, so everyone just come back to the paved circle. We're going to talk about tent number 3 over here. This tent is our thunder tent. So for the thunder tent, it focuses on the startle response that you can experience during a thunderstorm because of the big crash bang booms, as well as the lightning. But again, just spend some time exploring the space while keeping in mind the coping strategies we just went over, and then meet back here on the pavement when you are done.
Everyone feel free to continue the space. We'll just go greet the new arrivals.
Dopey healers too.
Okay, so let's just mosey on over to the next path, which is going to take us to the 4th and final tent that we have. Well, I say final tent, I mean our final rainstorm tent. So this tent is our hurricane tent. This tent essentially is the highest intensity tent that we have. So it takes all of the elements that we just experienced in the last few tents we went through, combines them, and then it adds some extra realistic elements that you might experience if you were to encounter a serious storm like a hurricane. So take some time in the space, and once you're done, meet back in the spot with us. And again, if it is a bit too much, you are more than welcome to check out the regulation tent over at the far end there. Alrighty, everybody. So the last tent we're going to check out is the one we mentioned at the beginning, which is the regulation tent. If you just want to follow me to the other side of our circular pavement here. You're welcome to go in, and I'll just kind of talk as you check this space out. But essentially, this space is for anyone that feels they need to decompress as they work through the stations like we mentioned. But it's also a good way to kind of end this exercise as it brings you back down to a state of calm after what you just went through. So yeah, just take some time in the space and appreciate it. And then once you're done, we'll just meet back in the center where we started our presentation, and Ashley's going to lead us all through a quick debrief.
And everyone feel free to take your time. There's no rush. How's everyone feeling? Just wanted to do a check-in point. It's kind of a lot to be in those spaces a little too long at a time, which is where we actually got the idea from creating that reset zone tent. But raise your hands if anyone wants to speak up on their experience, what they thought, how they were feeling, how it made them react.
I would like to speak.
Absolutely, yeah, go for it.
Thank you. I think it's just me and George that have a VR headset on, so I think it's a very different experience. First of all, great space. A lot of work definitely went into it. Love it. The only problem with the VR headset is it's lagging a little bit, which I think kind of takes away from the experience. But what I did find very fascinating is for each area, especially for the thunder one and the wind one, wind is my least favorite element. I hate it. And I felt like I felt the wind. So that was really interesting. And for the thunder and lightning, I thought it was very interesting because I gravitated to being underneath the enclosure, which I mean, as we know, I'm not in the middle of a thunderstorm, so I think that's a really cool way that the spaces immersed me. And definitely that one over there with all the elements, you guys did a great job of making it be very uncomfortable. So I also really appreciate the decompression tent because it was very lovely. So thank you.
No, thank you. I appreciate all your feedback. I'm sorry again that it was lagging for you in the headsets. That would have been awesome for you guys to experience it with the full immersive experience. But yeah, no, that's a lot of great things to hear from, especially, you know, everyone has I agree, everyone has their own preferences towards weather. I'm with you. Wind just agitates the you know what out of me.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's definitely one of those things where, you know, these spaces are meant to create that sense of agitation for everyone, and slowly but surely kind of like seeing it excel with every tent. And even as I'm sure some people might have noticed that not only did the sounds or the elements become more intense with each tent, but also the things surrounding it as well. We wanted it to be very much like a one-step process of going through and not being, you know, considering of someone who has a phobia and where these spaces would cause immediate agitation, even being in this room would. So we wanted to create it so, yeah, like over time you're noticing these things and you're wanting to kind of take that shelter under these spaces. But no, I really appreciate all your commentary and feedback. And how are you feeling now? You're feeling good, not too stressed?
Oh, I'm good. Now with the decompression tent over there, I'm feeling great. But excellent attention to detail, guys. Great job.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and anyone else? Does anyone else have any thoughts or feelings? Was there any tents that agitated them more than others? Like, for example, for me, I actually love the rain tent. I find it quite calming. And then as soon as we move on to the one, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm out of here.
So I'm going to actually jump in with one quick comment, and I think there's someone on the side over there who's raised their hand a couple times, so they should just jump in after me. I just wanted to talk about the lagging on the VR headsets. So if you were designing something for sort of clinical practice, you would know what VR headset you're going to use, and then you design and you do what's called optimizing. So when I build those nature therapy worlds, I know that I was designing them for the Quest 3, Meta Quest 3 headset. So I would test them with a Meta Quest 3 headset specifically, and then I would push the graphics so that I kind of got everything I could get out of what the hardware in that headset could give me, but making sure that it still had a nice smooth frame rate. So you can actually optimize right for the specific hardware that you're going to be using. And that's what you would typically do in a clinical setting. You dial it right in. Great demonstration of how this space evoked an emotion in a person. And it's exactly what we need it to do if we want to use a space for therapy. It has to evoke something, right? And so it's a demonstration, again, of what we were talking about with the whole point of these events, which is exploring why we would use VR for therapeutic purposes, right? And this is a demonstration of that, a demonstration of it evoking the kind of emotion that could then be used in a therapeutic setting.
I wanted to add a little something too. I definitely, out of all of them, the one I actually loved the most was the rain. Rain always helps calm me down, helps relax me. But as soon as we started moving to the other ones, that's when I realized when it came to storms, I was okay with the rain. It could rain, it could be like a whole waterfall out there, and I'd still love it. But as soon as I start seeing the hard wind, the thunder, and let's say sirens going off, because I used to live in an area that was called Tornado Alley. We were able to enjoy storms because my thought process was, oh great, is this storm going to cause a tornado? So I was never able to enjoy at least the rain portion of it. So I realize there are certain bits that scare me the most more than others, but rain is always my go-to, and if I could stand over there forever, I would.
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. And it kind of like even what you're saying is like, oh, the rain was so peaceful, and then going to the next ones became more agitating. I actually grew up with a childhood friend who had a fear of storms. And it was so funny because as soon as it rained, all of us kids would be so excited, and she would be bolting inside, terrified immediately, even if it was just light rain too. So it's funny how everyone kind of has these different reactions, especially in their own past experiences. Kind of what we brought up with like learned fear and phobias is everyone learns to react and approach these elements in different ways. So that's really cool. Yeah, again, I'm with you. I like the rain, and with whoever shared earlier, don't like the wind. But yeah, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that.
I was just going to say, I have the relationship I have with weather is I love it. I love storms. So I go out to seek them, to watch them. And I live in the country out on the edge of the Canadian Rockies in the big open lands on the side there. And so there's storms rolling off the mountains that you can watch where I live all year long. And so for me, I love it. And so, but again, it's just an example of your point, which is it's just the learned associations, right? I learned that association that storms were good as opposed to storms are bad. So it's just what I learned.
Sorry, yeah, no, 100%. It's interesting because I think it kind of evokes that excitement also in some people. Like I was thinking when we were building this world, at least I think my group mates can also agree to, I was thinking of like, okay, like pulling up memories of like movies of storms or looking at that stuff and seeing like it kind of just, evoking that response and that emotion, like you were saying, Tony. So thank you. And then as well, I would love to even just kind of pose a couple more questions to the audience as well. For example, do you think fear becomes stronger in these instances where, especially these people with virtual reality sets, I feel like a lot of us looking at these digital screens, we still kind of have that separation, but I'm really curious for anyone with these VR sets, how do you feel? Like, I know it's a little laggy and glitchy, but do you feel quite immersed into them? Or do you still feel that little bit of separation as well? Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, it was very, very immersive. like I did definitely, again, I love rain, so I'm with you guys that the rain was very calming, and I definitely felt that little bit of calm. I'd say that, yeah, the sound system that comes with the headset is a little bit crazy because it really does make it feel like it I did genuinely feel immersed in the whole system, especially for the last one. Even though I know it, yeah, I I think what's great about this showing it is the fact that the stress still came up, even though I know I'm in a safe space, which I think is a very interesting aspect of how our brains work, and how this will be really helpful for people with this phobia or other ones, because I definitely felt fear when I was in that one, in the wind one, because wind. But yeah.
Yeah, no, and that's a great segue into like my next question as well, is especially with people with fears and phobias and thinking about them in these spaces. Does anyone have any thoughts besides of how we approached it, but of ways in which people can actually approach these phobias? Is this a proper setting? Is there better ways to do it? And just kind of integrating anyone else's thoughts or contributions they would have.
I really like the way you've contained each experience in its own enclosure, because it allows people to see the boundary where they can get away from something if it does trigger them. I thought that was an excellent idea.
Thank you so much. I have to give that props to Liam. We had it in everyone's own separate stations for quite some time. And he brought the idea that no, it'd be good to have it sectioned off so you can have that separation between the spaces, and there's that more clear defined line of when you're going to element.
Yeah.
I appreciate the separation, and at the same time, I think that I would feel anxious seeing all of them at once if I were to be plopped into the setting. For a like for in a clinical situation, I I think that I would be too. I would anticipate too much for the next one. Just seeing how it is. That's just me, though.
No, I appreciate that though too, because again, like having these opportunities that, Laurel and Tony have given us to work in these spaces, it's really great to learn and build off of. And hopefully, especially with it being, open to the public to witness later, it's like having these kind of feedbacks from these spaces that could create like a ripple effect down the line of maybe improvements they'll see as well. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Awesome. And we are coming close to our time here. We wanted to give everyone the opportunity to go back around if you feel like you want to or need to check out any of the spaces. I know we had some late arrivals as well, so we want to give everyone the opportunity to engage with it again. If there's a tent you really liked or you want to see one more time, we just wanted to give that opportunity now. Again, just a reminder, from where you guys are looking, the far left will be the rain tent, and it'll progressively get a little more intense as you go on. But yeah, we just wanted to give that opportunity for you guys.
And if anyone has any more questions or wants to discuss anything more, instead of, we'll make ourselves available, just kind of hanging out up front here.
I want to, this is Laurel, I want to commend you all for the amazing job. What you've done here is absolutely amazing, and it brings home the power, as we've all been saying, so I'm just singing the choir, the power of immersive technology to truly cross into our psyche, to believe it's real, to be triggered, to feel it. Well done. All the teams, you have really just exceeded our expectations. And that's an important part when you're developing apps like, this is just a prototype example demo. It's not even a real, who knows if anything will ever come of it. I hope something would. But you're not trained developers, you're not trained UX designers or anything. You are just giving your heart and soul to make this happen. And we appreciate it so much. And your testing, Tony and I,
a lot. We're learning so much from you all, as everyone does. But I just want to thank you and give you all a tremendous round of applause for risking and putting this out there with no experience in XR in any way, shape, or form. Thank you, all of the students. Great job, this team, but all of the teams for the last several weeks. Thank you. And I'd like to know, how do you all, in the last few minutes we have, because the class is over, how do you feel about what you all have done?
Yeah, I think across the board for our group, we're very proud of this space, and not even just speaking on behalf of our group, we're really proud of what everyone else came up with too. It's really inspiring to see what everyone's approach was, and to learn from it and grapple with it, but also to be able to collaborate together in this kind of setting that we're all very new to. So I'm very proud of my team here.
Yeah, if I could, I think this class was awesome. I'm lucky you added a second section, Tony, because I was looking at it and it was full at the start. So I'm really glad I got in because it was unlike any other class I've ever taken. And like seeing all the other groups go was really awesome. And just seeing like, it's just such a creative outlet. And I think for students often in psych, it's very like narrow and research papers and like, it's not as applied. So this class was like really fun to dive in and like actually build a space and build something and learn like hands-on. So yeah, really good job guys today. I thought it was awesome. And yeah, thanks Tony.
Thanks for that. I really appreciate it. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Sort of when I put this whole course together, part of the whole idea was, let's see if we can do something different than a traditional university course. Like, what would that look like? What could we do, right? And this is where it's sort of evolved to. So I thank you. Thank you for appreciating that.
I just wanted to say that it's just been like really exciting to see like the endless directions that this can go as like this is starting to develop. And I think it's gonna like really transform ways. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's gonna look like.
Well, you're at the forefront of it. You're going to help make it be what it becomes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if it's full on changed my trajectory, but I would say that it's definitely opened a door that I'm very excited to go through and see which directions it could take me. But I think like the more it gets developed, the better of an idea I think we'll all figure out what that could look like.
I feel I think DD, I'm just making sure I see your name. I can't see it. Okay. But DD really put that, what was in my head as well, because I agree that I haven't changed my path, but just being able to see and immerse myself in this whole new world, if you may, really created, I think, more ideas of things that I'd like to learn about and see in all of it. It's amazing. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, I would agree.
Great.
Like I'm kind of an older student, so I kind of like decided my path a while ago. But that being said, like I've always been kind of nerdy, so this stuff has been like right up my alley, and like kind of seeing these two worlds collide with like world design and like the VR space. It's like I'm just like thinking how I can use it to my advantage in the future, like whatever role I end up in.
Heck yeah.
Technology being also part of that world building, and that's the collision that I notice, is that you're bringing the science part of it from your studies into world building and making them into a new way of where could you go to bring someone into something that triggers them like a thunderstorm on command and put them in a space where they can come in and out of it safely as well? I mean, it's just, the usage for this is just endless. So I'm really impressed.
And it's consistently similar each time, which is awesome, because you can't do that in the real world. So having the same thing over and over. It's cool.
Yeah, I think the student presentations alone have illustrated that point that we talked about throughout the course, which is that, you know, the idea of these simulations and how popular immersive technologies have become in any of these exposure therapies of different forms, whether it's for a phobia or PTSD or whatever the particular condition is. But for any of those exposure therapies, I think these student events alone have demonstrated how and why that explosion is taking off in the psychology field. Of it's such a useful tool for that type of treatment.
SciTech VR, we did an interview with them with XR News. You can find it at on our YouTube at educatorsinvr.com. SciTech VR is quickly becoming a leader in immersive technology. It's enterprise level, so it is for therapists to use as part of their therapy. It's being licensed out to therapists all across the United States. Right now, it's only for the United States. They're spreading into Canada and around the rest of the world.
Nope, we can get it now in Canada.
You got it now? Oh, sweet.
I think so.
They opened up that door. Excellent.
Yeah, I recently went, or not that recently, a little while ago, I actually did the full rep demo with a psychologist that I work with. We did it together with their rep and went through all the demo of their software.
Yeah.
And that. Yeah, it's cool.
Amazing.
It's a complete software suite for psychological or for psych therapy, and it integrates built in a lot of the therapeutic techniques that we use. Really, even a lot of the complex ones are baked right into it. So it's really, really cool.
It's really good. And there's also C2 Care and Keptera and a bunch of other ones. And so there is a growing industry and a need. And the need is, once you think of common, like being able to reach places where in rural areas or countries where it's hard to get communication and access to these services. But it's also because we're now, you know, COVID changed us. We now are more accepting of online access to things. So this is influencing the entire psychological and the whole healthcare industry. Tony, any last words before we shut this lovely, beautiful, and we'll stay open for a little while afterwards so people can wander and experience.
Just last things, you guys, everybody, awesome. And I'll just reiterate Laurel's point. This is CV stuff, right? You just did a live public presentation and you guys took months to put together. That is definitely a line on your CV. And you can even add a link to the video of that event, right? So, I mean, to legitimize it. So ultimately, that's another kind of benefit or spin-off with this kind of a course. Anyway, thank you all. It's been fantastic. This is such a fun course to teach. I mean, it really is. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another good semester.